Hello, 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 and welcome everybody to round 2 of season 6 here at Wednesday Night Dash for a GT3 Race of the Ages. It's the Road Atlanta GT3 Sprint presented by Stadium Scene TV in Braselton, Georgia. This 2.54 mile circuit with its 12 turns and elevation changes like nothing else, it is a true test of skill and nerve for these GT3 machines and their drivers. These drivers will have to master one of the most technical tracks on the calendar tonight, paying special attention to the infamous S's, a challenging sequence of left, right, left corners that requires precision and commitment in between turns 4 and 5. With speeds reaching over 170 miles per hour on the back straight, these drivers will have to balance their speed and grip to make it through the challenging corners. As the green flag drops, we can expect to see some exciting racing and plenty of thrills and spills. Speaking of thrills and spills, let's take a look at our standings from last week. As we have a leader in the championship right now, it's Mr. Mark Vickers after a dominating race from last week.
Gotcha.
Honestly, it was genuinely incredible to see how well he did in his GT3 machine. He seems to be right at home here in this season.
The track at any point.
Sounds like he's actually chatting about right now. Second place did go to Hunter Hughes, who, in my opinion, was a lot more of a standout performance than, maybe we're giving him credit for. A second place does not tell the story of just how well he did. He really put down a pretty impressive race, recovering from an unfortunate early spin to come back up into second. Colton Gardner came home in third, keeping his nose clean all the way from start to finish. Ian Miller brought home his fourth place finish. Brian McKinney in fifth. Justin Nieves in sixth. Eric Richardson came home in seventh. Tyler Vickery came in eighth. And then DJ Fluck came home in ninth. And we got a new driver tonight, actually. We got some fun tonight. It's Mr. Andrew Hewitt. I'm really excited. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this calendar because, like I said, we're here at Road Atlanta. But next week is another fun track. We're going to be going to Watkins Glen. And honestly, both Road Atlanta and Watkins Glen provide really great racing. Obviously, Road Atlanta specifically is one of the most wild tracks, I would say, on the calendar that we could get. I mentioned a little bit about the S's, but there's going to be a lot more than just the S's to pay attention to. It's going to be crazy. Another little fun fact I do want to mention, guys. We had a new driver register yesterday. Okay, His name is Tony Rivera, and we're hoping that if he does not join us tonight, that we will see him in the next few weeks. So keep a lookout for him. And also remember that if anybody wants to get into the league, the registration fees are still prorated, and you can go to frracingonline.com/WND to get started. Andrew Hewitt is one that I'm really going to be looking for tonight. Like I said, it's actually... It was going to be his first race tonight, but it looks like he has not showed up. So just kidding. I am messing with you guys. Now, let's obviously go ahead and take a look and give some love to our friends over at Stadium Scene, as we've got some great stuff for you guys this week. On this week's episode of House of Hockey, Breezy and Ray discuss round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs with their friend and fellow hockey fan, Alma Serrano. The ladies discuss which series they are watching, their first round predictions, and more. Alma is an LA Kings fan and Timo Meyer fan who travels across the country watching both. She even had a marked location at Staples Center for pre-game warm-ups. Tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, being Thursday, at Stadium Scene TV for the episode. Now, we can obviously go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. This race is going to be pretty wild, I'm sure. Looks like the track map. There it is. Track map. It's something to definitely pay a lot of attention to. We're right now in the middle of a qualifying session. We have just about 3 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. And currently we've got Ian Miller setting the pace here at Road Atlanta. Now let's go ahead and take a little onboard ride with Mr. Ian Miller. I want to see how his pace looks like in that Vodafone Mercedes. Coming around the back, that's, if you guys don't know the turn number, I want to say that is turn number 9. Right-handed that he had back there. This is a wild track, guys. Like, this is a genuinely wild track. This is the moment where I told you that you might see speeds get up to 170 miles an hour. It gets crazy. Diving down here into this chicane, turn 10 chicane. It's an AB corner. It's very challenging for these drivers. Obviously, over this left-hander or this right-hander is 11, and then a tighter right-hander for 12. Both of them are flat out to finish off the lap, and it looks like Ian Miller is going to want to try to improve on his current best at a 20.667. Right now, he's 0.6 ahead of Hunter Hughes, who actually was not the one who just went off, but somebody just flew off the track. I looked like that was Brian McKinney. Absolutely flying off the track and at turn 1. Gonna miss the braking zone a little bit. No worries, though. This is also the home to one of the best endurance races on the IMSA calendar in real life. The Petit Le Mans, always the final race of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Which, you know, if IMSA says, hey, this racetrack is good enough for our final race of the season every single year, it must be good enough for us here. It always provides some awesome racing. And cars like the Porsche are oftentimes known as one of the favorites at this track. Speaking of which, of all the drivers that I see on track right now, I see 3 Porsches. One here, Justin Nieves, another one for Hunter Hughes, and another one for Eric Richardson. It looks like the Porsche and the Ferrari are the most popular cars tonight, with Ian Miller being the one. Not in either one of them. He has decided to pick and stick with the Mercedes, which I think is a smart move as well. It's a very good car here as well. But this Porsche seems to do especially well because of the way that it can handle this sector right here, Sector 1. Take a look at his onboard as we're just going through in a qualifying run. He gets a little bit tight on his way up the hill. But Justin Nieves can go flat out to that left. He can go flat out to this right. He has a little bit of a lift, though. He's just up on that curb on the right side. He has to go full commitment for that, using all the curb on the outside. It's a great line right there from Justin Nieves, which is why he's put himself in 2nd place right now in qualifying. He's had pretty solid qualifying. Actually, he just got beaten. I messed up with you. He's in 5th place right now. Mark Vickers is the one who's in 2nd, trying to repeat his performance from last week and get another win. Now, going back-to-back for wins for Mark Vickers would be mega for his championship his championship run, I would say would be the word for it. I think, just judging by that first race, now obviously it's Lime Rock, and Lime Rock requires a pretty specific set of skills. And maybe just happened to be just the right track for Mark Vickers, but if I'm being a little bit clairvoyant / foreshadowy, I see Mark Vickers as being a very serious threat for the entire season. He seems to be very at home in these GT3 cars. We do have a checkered flag. It looks like qualifying session is over. And barely brushing the wall right there. Justin Nieves takes a little detour out into the grass as he finishes up his qualifying run. Colton Gardner is on one right now. There he is. Coming down the final chicane. The 2nd last corner. Into the final corner he goes. Colton Gardner right now sitting in 5th in qualifying. Can he improve? We're really on the edge right there. He comes for a 23.9. He actually is slower than his best by 0.2. Unfortunate for him. And he was the last one to cross the line for qualifying. So we have our qualifying order set. It is Ian Miller sitting on pole with an amazing lap of a 1:20.667. I can confidently tell you that's a pretty quick lap. 2nd place went to Mark Vickers in qualifying at a 1:21.0. P3 on the grid will be Hunter Hughes at a 1:21.311. 4th will be Justin Nieves at a 1:23.589. Colton Gardner will be 5th at a 1:23.776. And Eric Richardson will be 6th at a 1:25.896. So far, pretty tight grid. So far in this qualifying session, Brian McKinney, DJ Fluke not showing valid qualifying times. So they'll be starting in the back. But we will be getting and going racing pretty soon. So get ready for some action real soon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, like I mentioned, this track is always home to chaos, calamity, and just some crazy stuff in general. If you look at that track map in the bottom right corner, I expect to see the most self-inflicted crashes at turn 2 and turn 5. And potentially turn 1. If there was an opportunity for a collision between 2 drivers, it's either going to be turn 1 or turn 10, that chicane that does not seem to have a number on that track map in the bottom right corner. Those are the only spots that I think could maybe have a worry of some drivers coming together. But the likelihood of it is pretty low, so I'm not too worried about it, for lack of a better term. I personally think that this is going to be a relatively clean race when it comes to driver-on-driver contact. However, when it comes to when it comes to, clean race on your own land. I don't know how clean it's going to be. We shall find out, that's for sure. This track bites. This track really does bite. It is extremely difficult.
45 minutes.
As the, oops, my crew chief is talking to me. Whoopsies. As we've got all the drivers starting to line up, getting ready to go racing here today. Pace car has started moving right at turn 10. So you only have a couple corners to get these tires warm. These tires are going to be ice cold.
Oh, this is a short parade lap.
Going into turn 1. Good luck to all the drivers. Ian Miller, like I said, starting on pole. Mark Vickers in second. And third place to Hunter Hughes. Those top 3 in those very colorful, Laffy-Taffy looking cars. Going to go charging down into the first corner. There they go. Ian Miller is off, and we got a green flag. We are racing here at Road Atlanta at Wednesday Night Dash, and it's a good launch for the top 3 for sure. Order keeps stuck in. It's Ian Miller in front, Mark Vickers in second, Hunter Hughes in third, going in to turn 1, 2, and now 3 through 4. That left-hander, very wide, and into the S's. They go. Downhill, almost flat-out section, if not flat-out, if you really hit it just right. Into turn 5, where you have to be full commitment on the exit. You notice so many of these drivers are taking a little bit chill in this opening lap, which I am honestly quite a fan of. I think that's probably the smarter thing to do. Not to over push it. But Ian Miller definitely getting on the outside of that curbing into turn 7. Bit of a mistake, though, for Mark Vickers. Hold on a second. Mark looking a little bit weak right here, and he might be getting passed up by Hunter Hughes in the first lap. It looks like he is. Hunter Hughes got a great run coming out of turn 7. And that's Hunter Hughes. Up into second place now, but the draft is strong for Mark Vickers. Mark Vickers looking at coming right back at him. Down into turn 10. Like I said, a potentiality for driver collisions here at turn 10, but it's not going to happen on lap 1. We're very glad to say that because that was never fun. Now down at the very back, it looks like DJ Flick may have had a little bit of troubles. We're not going to do him the disservice and take a look at exactly what happened, but it must have been self-inflicted. This onboard view right here from Hunter Hughes. Let's watch the way that he handles this first section. You can see he has to kind of just lift off a little bit going into turn 1. It's very blind over turn 2, and it's a mistake from ahead of him. Oh my gosh, it's Ian Miller already off the track. What happened to him? He must have gotten a little bit loose coming over turn 2, and Ian Miller has already gone off so quickly from the front to the back. Oh, that is a heartbreak. But unfortunately, it's not enough of a heartbreak for us to be able to take our eyes off the front pack. It's now Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes, a battle that we saw last week, last all race long, until Mark Vickers was able to get, a pretty considerable lead. So I didn't last all race long, lasted all but 10 laps last week until Mark Vickers was able to get a very considerable lead. Hunter Hughes had a big mistake, but right now it's Hunter Hughes leading Mark Vickers. The draft is strong in that Ferrari, though. The top-end speed of that Ferrari is definitely better than we will see in that Porsche, especially as the race goes on. So take a look and, just be wary of the fact that they might start having some troubles at that top-end speed as time goes on. Now, we obviously saw Ian Miller fall off the track here. Right now, he's just gotten in front of, it looks like Brian McKinney, who's right behind him in the Ferrari. Ian Miller trying to charge back up the field and get back up to the front, but he is a long ways away. His delta is 20 seconds nearly, about 15 seconds away from the lead. Ian Miller losing a lot of time on that mistake. Ian Miller now gets in front of Eric Richardson, who just kind of lets him by going into turn 1. Says it's not worth the fight. Go ahead and go through. Ian Miller now up into 5th. But after that start, that opening lap was definitely quite intense. But it's not at all what Ian Miller wanted to have in his opening lap. Justin Nieves, though, is definitely pretty happy about it. He just got a free position. Now he's in the podium points once again. Reminder, guys, that he right now our current podium makeup is almost the same as it was last week. Colton Gardner, though, made up the 3rd spot on the podium last week. But this is the longest we've seen Hunter Hughes lead a race, I think. So far, he's looking pretty solid in that Porsche. We know he's a good qualifier. Last week, the race, after turn 1, it definitely just was really hard for him to come back and get back up in the fray of the fight. But so far, this is looking like it might be a battle that will last a little while between himself and Mark Vickers. A little bit farther down the road, let's take a look at Brian McKinney. and Eric Richardson. Eric Richardson in the Porsche, very successful in the NASCARs last season in the next gens. But Eric Richardson here in the Porsche seems a little bit less at home. You can see this 13 car with the primary color paint job, basically the red, yellow, and blue. Seems a little bit off, but speaking of off, that's Brian McKinney flying off track. Way off track, hits the wall a little bit. Looks like he just made a bit of a mistake. Yep, coming into turn 1. It's a classic spot. It'll bite you. You can see it here from his cockpit. He turns it a little bit and just does not brake quite right. And he's off into the wall. Big hit into the tire barrier. The tire barrier saves him a little bit. It's better to hit that than the actual wall itself, but still not good. That car is going to need some TLC, that's for sure. It actually looks like it's quite crooked. You can see that front left wheel is pointed inwards, while the front right wheel looks totally fine. If you look at that left front suspension, it's pretty obvious to see that's where the brunt of it got hit. You can see that steering just looks very awkward. Really unfortunate for Brian McKinney. He's sustained some pretty solid damage here on lap number 5. Now back up to the front. Let's go ahead and see what Hunter Hughes has got going on. Looks like he's still holding off Mark Vickers, but only by about a half a second. It's a very tight delta for sure between the two of them. And it is the tightest delta that we have here on track. Up at the front, we love to see that. I have a feeling that both these guys have been putting in the work on this track. I mean, look at the gap that Mark Vickers has been able to close down on Hunter Hughes. It is neck and neck now, almost down to 2 to 3 tenths. Coming out of turn 5. It's a scary spot to be so close to each other, but you definitely can manage. And obviously, if Mark Vickers gets a good enough run out of here, turn 7, he's going to be able to get the pass done on his way into turn 10. The run, though, does not look very strong. Looks strong enough to for sure catch a draft. But I don't know exactly how close it's going to be. If you look at this from the driver's point of view, Hunter Hughes, he looks like he's got free air in front of him. But Mark Vickers, you can see, is on the hunt for a move. Can he look towards the inside? He's not going to make the move. He thinks about getting later on the brakes. There's a little bit of room left there from Hunter Hughes, but not enough for Mark Vickers to make his way through. And he has to relegate and stay behind. Go over the blind corners into turns 11 and flat out turn 12. And that's a spun out car right there. That's scary coming around that corner. It was the 88 car of, looks like DJ Fluck, unfortunately, spun into the final corner. These two characters, are they going to be our protagonist antagonists for this whole night tonight? And now, if I was to put a protagonist tag on one of these two drivers, obviously it's going to go towards Mark Vickers, as he was our race winner from last week. He just looks to be so strong here. Kind of seems like, his race to lose, for lack of a better term, coming off of that dominant result from last week. However, Mark Vickers, he's on his villain era. He's on his nemesis arc, and he's got a lot to prove. He's definitely not stoked about how that race went last week. I know Hunter, guaranteed he feels that he should have had a shot at a potential podium, if not a win last week. Sorry, I believe he did get a podium, but he should have had a potential shot at a win last week. And unfortunately, just did not quite come through. So he's going to want to prove he belongs with the best of them. Coming over turn 12. We're entering lap 6:34. And it's tight between these two. It's still so tight. 3 tenths separates these two guys. The next closest gap is Justin Nieves and Colton Gardner. Justin Nieves, though, passing a lapped car, actually, of Brian McKinney on his way down into turn 12. That full commitment right-hander. And Justin Nieves, you can see the Mercedes off in the distance. That's Ian Miller. Pretty far away, though. It's a solid 5 seconds down the road is Ian Miller, so he's got himself a pretty solid gap, sitting in 3rd, pretty much in no man's land. And Colton Gardner in 4th, just barely coming around turn 1 right now.
Eric,
He's also kind of in
pit exit. Go ahead and go by.
Kind of in no man's land. So these drivers just trying to stick into their race and just get through it. But at the front, they're not here to stick in. They're here to get some wins. And it's a dogfight. Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes still.
Thank you.
Out of these two cars, I'm gonna ask you guys in chat, which one do you feel has the livery, has the best livery? I'm gonna give it actually to the yellow and pink. The challenger right now, Mr. Mark Vickers. The sloppy drunk dad car does look sweet. Now, me personally, you guys obviously know me as Eli, but I have an alter ego as Punju, and I use those exact same colors. Maybe that's why I'm such a big fan. That's probably it. That's my bias coming through right there, my commentary bias. Now, I'm noticing that the lines that these two are taking is... You can see that Hunter Hughes is trying to be very conservative, and Mark Vickers is trying to be a little bit more aggressive. And look at how close he's getting to the back of Hunter Hughes going into the S's. You know, Mark Vickers just wants to put on enough pressure, force Hunter to start driving in his mirrors and maybe make a mistake. But as of right now, Hunter has seemed to be able to, handle the pressure just fine. He hasn't seemed to really have anything to worry about when it comes to that Ferrari in his rear view. Now that Ferrari in his rear view, maybe in his side view, down this straight. However, the run is just, once again, not quite good enough. It seems like Mark Vickers is not able to put down the power the same way that Hunter Hughes is being able to. Coming out of that turn 7, that tight right-hander in the back middle of this track, right around that middle of sector 2 area. Coming through the Frox Bridge and down to the final couple corners. Still Hunter Hughes leading into lap 9. Down the order, I do see some people fighting it up. It looks like Brian McKinney is having a little tussle with a lap car of Colton Gardner. Well, sorry, Brian McKinney is the lap car. Colton Gardner trying to lap him and get in front. Colton Gardner, remember last week, he scored a podium. Did just keep his nose clean and stayed smart and safe through the entire race process. I think that's what really gave him his podium. Now, he's got a lot more to do. He's pretty far away from the pack. Colton Gardner sitting in 5th, 35 seconds away from the leaders. That's a big one.
Stay to the right. Sorry, to the left,
Oh. DJ Flip, looks like he's dropping to the left, letting the two leaders fly through. You can hear him on the radio saying, I'm going to stay to the right, and then he says, just kidding, to the left. A little bit of confusion on the radio, but not enough to make any errors for these drivers. Obviously, that's just not enough confusion to cause any sort of true calamity. And when it comes to the driving style, it seems to be that Hunter Hughes just seems to have the general finesse of this track dialed a little bit more. You know, I've seen so many Porsches just absolutely dominate around this track. And so I think that's what is really helping out Hunter Hughes in this case. Obviously, his driver skill is definitely there, for sure. But the car makes a big difference on a track like this. This Porsche is significantly more agile, and though it has a little bit more downforce, which then prevents you from getting truly crazy straight line speed, what it lacks in downforce, it makes up for an insane cornering pace. Which I think is why he's able to get the power down so efficiently coming out of this corner right here, and how he's been able to hold off the Ferrari of Mark Vickers for so long. But I don't know if that's going to last much longer. Hold on a second. Mark Vickers has an amazing run. It's finally done and dusted. Mark Vickers going to get alongside on his way to turn 10. It's going to be tight. The dive, I'm sure, is coming. The inside line to Hunter Hughes. The outside line to Mark Vickers. Who will be later on the brakes? And who's going to get the grip? It's later on the brakes for Mark Vickers, I would say. But Hunter Hughes tries to stick his nose still up in there. Mark Vickers may have gotten it done. It's still neck and neck, side by side, going into the Fox Bridge. But that's going to be the Porsche having to relegate. Mark Vickers has got through and gotten into the lead. Hunter has stuck behind.
No, you're all good.
That was a nice little battle going into turns 10, 11, and 12. And now Hunter Hughes has to come back at him. I think Mark Vickers had the pace to, get in front of him, obviously. And so that move was done and dusted pretty efficiently. You can see how much faster Hunter Hughes is in these tight sectors. Look at him. He's right up on the back of Mark Vickers. In fact, he almost had to check up, I think, a little bit. And just watch the run coming out of turn 7. That's what you need to watch right here. Not this next right-hander. That's going to be turn 6. But the next right-hander after this, turn 7. How is the run going to be for the Porsche versus the Ferrari? Was the Ferrari getting held up for a while, or was the Porsche just faster of the two? Did he make a mistake? It looks like the Ferrari actually has the beans to get gone and get dusted, because that top line speed of that Ferrari is just so darn good. No matter how good your run is out of the corner, there's not too much you can do to make up for that top speed of that Ferrari. And it looks like this might be the opportunity for for Mark Vickers to run away with this race. Now that he's cleared the field and he's up into front, he can start playing his drive, playing his race, and running the pace that he likes to run. A little bit farther down the grid, some people we need to give some love to. I'd say Ian Miller, doing a great job so far today. He's sitting in 3rd place. Yes, go ahead and take a look at Ian Miller. He's coming over that Fox Bridge right there. I call it the Fox Bridge as you saw that Fox Factory banner. This race is also the home to the Fox Factory 150, I want to say, which is the final race of the Michelin Pilot Challenge series. So a little fun fact for you guys right there about real life racing. The sports car racing at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is consistently some of the best in the country, if not even in the world. And we're obviously seeing some great racing here tonight as well. Those 1-2 cars at the front are still flying it off. In fact, hold on a second. Hunter Hughes found a way through, and now he's back in the lead. Wow. I wonder how he did that. Let's take a look and see exactly how he got back up in the lead. And it's going to be a run out of turn 5. Take a look at this. Let's take a look at this from the cockpit view of the Porsche. Hunter Hughes, he's attacking, coming to the S's. How's his exit out of turn 5 right here? Looks like it's it's a really bad entry right there onto the dirt for Mark Vickers. And Hunter Hughes says, thank you very much. I'll take that. He glides on through. Easy pass right there for the Porsche. The Porsche is still leading into lap number 13 here, 34. We're just about a third of the way through. A little bit more than a third of the way through. And so far, it's been a battle between these top two protagonist-antagonist pair. It's so good to watch racing this close, this clean, this fun, this mean. It's just a blast. And these guys are delivering for us tonight. Hunter Hughes and Mark Vickers pushing each other to the edge. Obviously, the edge came so far, came closer for Mark Vickers as he had his little moment right there. He went off into the dirt. Mark Vickers making a bit of a mistake into turn 6 right there, it looks like. Got a little bit sideways almost. Had to catch a slide. Mark Vickers is being put to the test right now. He's having to really push. I don't think I've ever seen Mark Vickers push this hard. He's flying. Well, he's doing his best he can. And right now, Hunter Hughes just seems to be the better of the two drivers. Ian Miller, though, right now, having the fastest lap of the race, I want to say. Mark Vickers has the fastest lap of the race, but Ian Miller just set his best lap last lap at a 20.875. The fastest lap of the race right now is Mark Vickers at a 120.521. That's a quick lap. That's a really quick lap, actually. Especially at race pace. Now these two charging into turn 2 right here over the hill. Blind left-hander. Into another blind right-hander. A little bit of a slidey action right there for the Porsche. The Ferrari saw the mistake. He might go side-by-side into the S's. He's going to dive before we get to the S's. And the Porsche of Hunter Hughes gives him all the room in the world and just says, all right, no point in defending this one. Go ahead and go on through. But now it's going to be side-by-side again into turn 6. I can almost guarantee you. These two giving us a show. Mark Vickers having to give just enough space on the outside for that Porsche to keep that inside line. The Porsche is staying on the inside line right there, but it's going to be a better exit probably for the Ferrari as he had the outside line, a little bit more room to go. And once again, Hunter Hughes and Mark Vickers are fighting it hard as can be. Hunter Hughes currently sitting in the lead, but only just. No, now it's Mark Vickers. Mark Vickers getting a much better run at the top end of the pace. I told you that the top end pace of that Ferrari is just better. But the Porsche later on the brakes, looking for the switchback, just decides to tuck in. Says it's not worth the fight quite yet. We tuck in. I'll get you next lap. We got a leading Ferrari of Mark Vickers, a second-place driver of Hunter Hughes. Third place all the way a little bit farther down the grid to Ian Miller. He is surprisingly far away, actually. You can see he's just coming over the final corner right now. A solid 15 seconds behind the battling beasts that are in front of him. However, I will say this. Because of how hard Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes are battling, Ian Miller just caught up 3 seconds last lap. So, or about 2 seconds, excuse me, last lap. So, Ian Miller needs to hope that the 1 and 2 drivers, Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes, keep fighting it. Because that's going to let him get a little bit closer to it and maybe even take a shot at that top 2. We'll see, though, as the race will continue to unfold over the next few laps. We're nearing that halfway mark right now. And right now, it's really just been a 1-2 battle.
You guys by. I'll be on the left. I'm on the left here.
Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes going to pass by that yellow Ferrari right there of DJ Fluck, who's just letting them through. DJ slightly touching the grass just to make sure they have all the room in the world and they could battle if they wanted to. Wow. I love seeing racing like this. This just makes me so excited. Hunter Hughes, you know, I think it was smart for him to tuck in last lap and just say, you know what, it's not really worth the fight to go into turn 10 and just keep the pace there so that they can make sure they're not getting caught up by Ian Miller. But Ian Miller, nonetheless, is still pretty quick.
Deja vu right there.
However, the moment they decide to tuck in and let it just roll, hold on a second, guys. Here are the lap times that Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes just put down. Last lap, Mark Vickers put down a 121.233, and Hunter Hughes put down a 121.232. 1/1000th of a second difference between these top 2 drivers. They are really going tit for tat, riding neck and neck this whole race. They are as even of a match for each other as I think we could get, and I think that's why we've seen a few lead changes and a lot of tight battling all the way through these past 16 laps. We've had 2 guys that really are just perfect matches for each other on this track. But it's fun to see how they're in different cars. They have different styles. They got different ways of attacking these corners and handling this tricky, tricky course. But it's obviously working out to give very, very similar, if not basically identical results. Now, when it comes to pit strategy, there will be pit stops coming up pretty soon. We're right about that halfway mark right now. So I expect to see pit stops coming any minute now. Ooh, interesting turn in right there for Mark Vickers. Got a little bit squirrely. Going into turn 1. This corner, if you nail that right-hander, turn 2, you feel like you're unstoppable. It feels, there's nothing better in this world, you know, what feels like that. It feels so good. And so I've seen these guys hit that corner really, really well a couple times. And I'm sure whenever they do hit it just right, they must feel amazing. A little bit of oversteer into that turn 6. Trying to induce a little bit more oversteer into turn 7 on the entry. And there's a little bit of induced oversteer on the exit right there from the Porsche. You can see his rear end getting a little bit tail happy. Getting on top of the curb. He's putting the pedal to the metal, trying to go as fast as he can to just catch up to that Ferrari, who has since about 4 laps ago held the lead. Let's go ahead and take a look a little bit farther down the road. Who is in 7th place right now? It's Mr. Brian McKinney. Oh, off track. Oh no, Brian McKinney. Oh, another incident into turn 1. That's so unfortunate for Brian McKinney. Brian McKinney, you can see this is from the nose cam right here. He's just turning into that corner a little bit too early, carrying too much speed. He's about to hit that wall hard. Oh, big hit right there for Brian McKinney. And that's Brian McKinney out for a while. We're going to go ahead and take a look at Justin Nieves, who deserves a little bit of love. Sitting in 4th place right now. He is a full 30 seconds behind Ian Miller. Wow. So Ian Miller sitting in 3rd. Got a whole half a minute on 4th place. However, Colton Gardner is a little bit less than 10 seconds, is a little bit more than 10 seconds behind Justin Nieves. Colton Gardner sitting in 5th. And Mark Vickers, our leader right now, Hunter Hughes, are actually getting pretty close to lapping the fifth place car of Colton Gardner, who, like I said last week, got himself a podium. So kind of wild to see Colton Gardner go from getting a podium last week to now about to be getting lapped on a 2.5 mile track. I have a feeling, though, a lot of it is that Hunter Hughes and Mark Vickers are just really bringing the best out of each other. Hunter Hughes looks like he has decided to pit. Will Knapp early going for the undercut. I think that is the strategy right there from Hunter Hughes. Hunter Hughes, as he drives to the pit lane. Let's see if this undercut does work out for him. This will be an interesting strategy. Now, Road Atlanta does chew your tires up for sure. Is he gonna take tires? No, he's not. That is a smart move right there for Hunter Hughes. Just because they chew up your tires doesn't mean you really need them. You can get through 45 minutes of hardcore racing without getting some tires. So Hunter Hughes just getting a splash and dash. Will this allow him to undercut? Or is Hunter Hughes not going to have the outlap that he needs to make this move stick on Mark Vickers? Mark Vickers right now, let's see where he's at on track. He's on the back stretch, just starting it.
I am getting out of the way.
Hunter Hughes, like I said, since he did not switch tires, his tires are still warm as well, something very important to notice. So that means he's not going to have a super slow outlap right here. I expect to see a pretty solid pace from Hunter Hughes as he's coming out of the pits. I do not expect this to be a slow lap. And Mark Vickers, though, he's coming around the final couple corners. Is he posturing up to go into the pits? Looks like he is. He's going to go into the pits. So on lap 19, about to start lap 20, Mark Vickers has decided it's time for me to pit, get some fresh fuel, maybe a new pair of boots, but if he does put on some tires, that's going to be that's not going to be a good move for him. The 16 car of Hunter Hughes is charging down the back straight right now. We can go ahead and see him right here. He's charging down the back straight, almost at turn 10 right here. And Mark Vickers is still in the pits. Mark Vickers does not lift the car. He's just getting fuel. Will this undercut strategy work? Who will come out on top? It's going to be something special. It's going to be tight. We see a car run around the back right there. It's Hunter Hughes. I think his undercut has worked. It absolutely has. Hunter Hughes retains the lead of the race, but it's only just the Ferrari just barely comes out behind. Look at that. Hunter Hughes making the most of the undercut. That was glorious. Such a good move right there from Hunter Hughes. It allowed his tires to cool down just enough to get a little bit extra grip on that outlap. And he put it down on that outlap. And now he's back up in the lead, beating out his competitor right now, Mr. Mark Vickers, by about 0.6 of a second. Hunter Hughes showing us how it's done here when it comes to pit stop strategy around Road Atlanta. Now he's getting a little bit squirrely coming around turn 6. And the Ferrari might get a good run on turn 7. Actually, it's a little bit of a collision. The Ferrari loses a light. Having a little bit of an apology session right now. Who can apologize harder to each other? Mark Vickers just got a little bit too aggressive coming out of that corner. Let's take a look at this from his cockpit POV. What it looked like as he was coming around that corner. It's going into turn 7 right here. Late brake from the Ferrari. I don't think he expected he did not expect the Porsche to go that slow coming through that corner. And now he's paid for it dearly. Mark Vickers pretty far back. 1.5 seconds or so separates the top two. Now it looks like he doesn't have any damage on the car. His car seems to be driving plenty straight, so no worries there. He's pushing it. Look at that line that he takes right there, going way far to the outside. Coming through turn 1. That means that you're really fighting for it. He doesn't quite cut over the corner super hard into turn 2, though. So he's not going as hard as he can. He's still playing mildly conservatively so as to just make sure he gets this car to the finish line, which is smart. Because obviously it's just not worth oversending it, chasing down a win and then ending up in the back of the pack when you otherwise would have had second. A second place finish is still a payout. It's still a good finish. But this is the corner they collided on last. This is not one of the corners that I said was a possible collision spot, so I was wrong. I thought it was going to happen into the next corner we're going to get to, turn 10, which I don't count these kinks in this straightaway as corners, but for whatever reason they do here. Turn 10, that chicane that we're coming up to, is where I thought that we had a shot of having a little bit of collision between two drivers. Because diving into here, it can get dicey. And also one thing that gets really dicey is where they're going on the exit right there. You can see they're using that exit curb on the left side of the track. It's dirt on the outside there. And if you have your left rear wheel clip that dirt on the outside of turn 11. We'll try the exit of turn 10B. You will spin right into the bridge. And it's you're dead on arrival at that point, so.
I thought we were going to have the crash of the week there for a second. I managed to hold on to it.
Ooh, look at the way that the Ferrari gets over that turn 2 curbing. He looks so good. He's cleaning up. He's actually he's chopping that gap down. It was over a second after that little collision, and now we're down to 2/10 as he comes out of the S's. What an amazing sector 1 for the Ferrari. He is flying right here on lap 22. He's only got about 11 laps to get this thing done. 15 minutes left in this race. And Mark Vickers, no, time is of the essence. I need to get a move on. I'm putting myself in the mind of Mark Vickers. He's thinking to himself, I need to get a move on. I need to get this pass done and dusted. Otherwise, this Porsche is just going to be a brick wall in front of me, and there's no way I'm getting through this thing. You know, it's definitely pretty easy to make yourself super wide on this track, which is exactly what the Porsche of Hunter Hughes has to do for just the next 11 laps. We haven't given enough love, I think, to some of the other drivers we have here tonight. One that we haven't given enough love to is Eric Richardson, who's running this race, the dad's old-fashioned root beer Porsche. He's got a little bit of damage on that 13 Porsche in that left rear column area, but not too much to prevent him from still racing and running and having a good time. He is having a good time. Another one who we need to give some love to is our friend, Mr. Justin Nieves. He's actually sitting in 4th place right now, although he is a lap down. Sorry, he's not quite a lap down, but he probably will be pretty soon. He's only 13 seconds ahead of the leaders. So, Justin Nieves, but he's been doing a great job. He's been having a good time out there. Sitting 4th place is definitely a pretty solid finish. Not quite in the payout points, but it's pretty solid nonetheless. Ian Miller, though, obviously way far up the grid from Justin Nieves. Nowhere near getting touched and, you know, in danger from that 4th place car. He's just having his own little race to himself. But obviously the front guys, it's Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes, and it's tight, tight, tight. Looks like actually Mark Vickers got in front of Hunter Hughes. Now, where did this happen? I'm not sure, because Hunter Hughes might want to say something about that and make a dive on the inside of turn 10. It's going to be mad defensive from the Ferrari. Dives out to the inside. Very smart moving right there from the Ferrari. That was genius. And the Ferrari defends the position quite efficiently. Hunter Hughes has to stay back, but where did Mark Vickers pick this up? Right there. Mark Vickers posturing here into turn 6, where this is. A little bit of an awkward corner for turn 6. And definitely looks like it's going to be awkward braking into turn 7 right there. It was massively awkward braking. We couldn't see it quite because the camera angle did us a little bit dirty. Awkward braking goes super wide on the entry, actually, did the Porsche. And that allowed Mark Vickers to get through. And then he led himself all the way down through the straight and stays in front right now as they come out of the S's. Mark Vickers still ahead of Hunter Hughes, who sits in second, just 3/10 behind the Ferrari. If there's one mistake from that Ferrari of Mark Vickers, Hunter Hughes will pounce. That's the thing that this has been. It's been a cat and mouse game of the leader versus the follower the whole race. As soon as the leader makes a little mistake, the follower just swoops right in and steals that first place spot, and vice versa. You know, then that new leader will make a little mistake, and the old leader, which was then the follower, jumps in and grabs that first place spot. You can see right now Hunter Hughes trying to grab all the draft he can get out of that Ferrari because he knows the Ferrari is just a little bit stronger in the top line speed. So the passing opportunities that are going to happen for for Hunter Hughes, are going to be in the S's area, in my opinion. It's going to be coming out of turn 5. It's really going to be his best opportunity to get some passes and potentially here through the S's if he's really feeling crazy. The passing opportunities for Mark Vickers are almost always going to be these straightaways. You know, coming out of turn 7 is especially a really good spot for him to make a move, which he's obviously already gotten done a couple times. Watch the cockpit cam of Mark Vickers. Or, sorry, Hunter Hughes. He's actually lifting a little bit. He's playing a lot more conservatively right here. Coming over turn 5. Why say playing conservatively? Like him catch a little bit of dirt right there. Almost getting Fast and Furious Airborne style right there. But he's having to push a little bit. He has a couple corners he plays conservatively, and then he just goes absolutely full send on the next few corners. Right there, his exit at turn 7 was quite sendy. And you can see Mark Vickers trying to break the toe as quickly as he can off of that Porsche that's behind him. This Porsche is doing his best to catch back up, but it's 7.5 tenths to the good is where Mark Vickers is. That's a pretty solid gap over Hunter Hughes. It's enough to feel comfy for a second. Now, obviously, Mark Vickers needs to make sure that he doesn't let that comfort turn into complacency. That can be bad. Hunter Hughes trying to catch back up. This Sector 1 is going to be his opportunity. If he hits this better than the Ferrari does, he's got the opportunity to catch back up. Look at this. Like, immediately coming out of turn 2 and 3. The Porsche's back up on the butt of the Ferrari. It's nose to tailpipe once again. Coming over turn 5, the Porsche going pretty sendy, but not enough. I think the Porsche had a little bit more pace in him coming over turn 5. I still think he's playing a little bit conservative, just trying to, finish the race and not oversend it, which I understand, Oh, speaking of oversend it, that's an off-track car right there. Big crash for Hunter Hughes. Oh, no. Is the car towed? No, it has to get towed. Hunter Hughes coming out of turn 6. That's a huge error. What happened here? Let's take a look at this from his cockpit camera. Actually, no. Actually, we're going to do it from a chase camera, as that's going to give us a little bit more detail as to exactly what happened. Hunter Hughes coming into turn 6. Looks good.
Pulled off on the side.
Gets on the power a little bit early. You can hear him pumping power a little bit coming out of turn 6. Wants to really get up on the back of that Ferrari. And once you're in the grass here, there's no way you're stopping. He tries to put the brakes on, but he is off. There's no way he's going to stop right there. And it's a big crash. His left rear tire is totally detached from the car. Axle broken. Fast repair needed. Hunter Hughes entirely out of this race. No way is he going to get second place anymore, unfortunately. Mark Vickers right now having the opportunity of his lifetime and will cruise away with the win, assuming he does not have an error. However, if Mark Vickers does have an error, it will give Ian Miller the win, and that's where we're at right here. Hunter Hughes and Mark Vickers battled it so tight for 27 laps, a total of 37 minutes. Wow. And unfortunately, it ends in disaster for Hunter Hughes, the proclaimed antagonist of that battle. He was there to chase down a better finish than he had last week, but unfortunately, he could not get it done. Hunter Hughes still stuck in the pits. Looks like he's towing right now. Once he's done towing, he's going to get that fast repair done and dusted as quickly as he can, of course. He'll get back on track and see if he can salvage something out of this. He is getting back on track right there. You can see Mark Vickers actually coming around that final corner behind him. Hunter Hughes will be in front of him, but he's going to be a little ways down. Right now, I think Hunter Hughes is still in third, actually, and ahead of Justin Nieves. But I believe him and Justin are on the same lap. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe that is correct. Yep, him and Justin Nieves are on the same track. So Hunter Hughes has about 50 seconds on Justin Nieves. Interesting. Yep. Sorry, 17 seconds. Not 50 seconds. 17 seconds. So Hunter Hughes and Justin Nieves now actually have kind of a little bit of a fight for that last podium spot. Hunter Hughes currently will still steal it, even after that big crash and having to tow. Justin Nieves will be stuck in fourth still. The fifth place car of Eric Richardson, pretty far back, but he's pretty stuck in fifth place. He's got no real worry about sixth place. It's very far away from him. Very far away from him. Almost a whole minute away from him, so he's pretty much stuck into it. Mark Vickers obviously has no challengers anywhere near him. His next closest competitor is Ian Miller, 21 seconds behind. And although Ian Miller has been putting down some pretty awesome laps, they're not 20 seconds better in the next 4 laps. He doesn't have a 5-second per lap advantage on Mark Vickers, so it's looking like as of right now, Mark Vickers will be taking home the win as we say it right now. Now, obviously, he has to still get it home for the next 3 laps. 5.5 minutes specifically. Mark Vickers fought so well. Hunter Hughes fought equally as well, but just one mistake is all it takes. And the race can be over for you, as demonstrated, unfortunately, by Hunter Hughes. I know he does not want to be a demonstrator of that unfortunate fact, but it ended up being the case here tonight. Very, very, very unfortunate for him. You can actually see the car of Hunter Hughes in front of Mark Vickers. That's just tough, man. It's a 3-second gap between the two of them. Hunter Hughes, obviously, going to stay unlapped. He's not going to let himself get lapped again, for sure, I guarantee you. He ran his best race, but almost getting lapped a second time, or almost getting lapped, and we'll still have him sitting in 3rd place. That's crazy. Ian Miller in that AMG Mercedes coming over the Fox Factory Bridge into turn 12. He is. He's looked so good today. His P2, he's going to feel, was well-deserved. He drove such a clean race. It was a bit of a lonely race for this Mercedes, but it was all he needed to do to get it done and get some solid points. The payout tracker shows just who gets in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and he's going to be happy to have his name on the board there. This Vodafone Mercedes also looks so nice. Classic livery. Very classic. In my opinion, I don't think anybody here would argue with this as well. It's absolutely the best sounding car on the grid. I mean, listen to this motor. Listen to that sing. Oh, all that power being thrown down to the ground through that crazy strong rear axle. His way into turn 10. What a race car this car is. Absolutely wicked. Justin Nieves in that awesomely fun Porsche as well. Listening for some good engine noise. This is another great one. A little bit higher of a whine from that V6, or that inline 6, excuse me, at that Porsche Sports. Justin Nieves has done a great job today. Done a very solid performance. This 4th place finish will give him some pretty great points going into the championship standings. But unfortunately, it's not going to be the same level of points as Mark Vickers, who will be bringing home, assuming he gets it through the line, his 2nd win in a row. A little bit banged up, that car is. That front left has seen a little bit of wear and tear. But it was not too much to prevent this car from getting home. He's likely about to start the final lap, if not the 2nd to last lap. He's coming down that backstretch right now. He'll be starting his 2nd to last lap here as he comes across the line in just a few seconds. What an amazing showing from Mark Vickers. I mean, last week was so dominant. I knew that he was going to feel, I knew that he was going to be a favorite for tonight. But the level of dominance here was a lot different. And I think that this goes to show that this championship is nowhere near over after the first couple races. Hunter Hughes seemed so strong here. He seemed like a really solid, even match for Mark Vickers. And it's something that I think that Mark Vickers is going to remember going into the next race at Watkins Glen. Hunter Hughes, although he has had now 2 mistakes, 2 races in a row, does not mean that Hunter Hughes is incapable of putting down one of the most, impressive performances of the night at any given night. I think Hunter Hughes is someone who's really going to have a shot this back, 3/4 of the season to put down some great results. And I'm excited to see exactly what those results will end up being. As Hunter Hughes passes up Eric Richardson. Mark Vickers getting up, closing up that gap as well. Mark Vickers will be shown the white flag almost certainly as he comes through this line. Take a look at it from his cockpit point of view. He comes over the Fox Bridge. He sees the white flag being waved in the top left corner of a screen. Mark Vickers has just 2.52 miles to go until he is a race winner here at Road Atlanta in Wednesday Night Dash. He's done, like I said, just such an amazing job. This is a well-deserved win for Mark Vickers. Ian Miller coming home in second is going to feel great for him, but I know he's going to wish he would have had that pace to just inch up and get into that first place fight. If it was maybe about a half a second a lap difference between him and Mark Vickers. As the 20-second gap over a 40-minute race, that's just about a half a second difference between himself and the leader. If Ian Miller had that a little bit, he's right there he's right up there with the top three on pace. Justin Nieves will be bringing home a fourth place finish tonight. Eric Richardson looks like he'll be bringing home a fifth, assuming he finishes out in the same order. Colton Gordon are looking to bring home a sixth. DJ's looking to bring home a seventh. Brian McKinney, unfortunately, bring home last place. He's already disconnected from the race. We're back on Mark Vickers coming down in turn 10. The A and the B. And Mark Vickers comes over the Fox Factory Bridge down through turn 12, and he wins here tonight for Wednesday Night Dash. His second race win in a row here. He's going to feel great. The lights are flashing again. He knows this is a great way to start the season, and I know he's going to be celebrating with some big old donuts at the top of the hill. I hope he does. Second place is going to go to Mr. Ian Miller. Going down the final few corners, he does. Hitting that payout track for his first time of the season. What a job he has done tonight. Third place is going to go to Hunter Hughes. And although I know he's going to think that he deserved better,
overcooked that entry, and
he'll still be happy with a third.
Flying off.
You can hear him talking a little bit. They're having a little chat together.
I was just making sure I left you enough room.
Mark is a little bit. Mark, just always the sportsman, too. Concerned about whether or not he gave Hunter all the room that he needed. And he definitely did. Hunter Hughes will come home in third.
Too.
Justin Nieves will likely finish out in fourth. And now is a good time for me to get ready to get some interviews going. They will be happening. Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get a few of our guys in here for an interview tonight. Hunter Hughes comes across the line in third. Justin Nieves,
Good win, Mark.
a little farther back, come across in fourth.
Thanks, buddy.
Wait, Justin Nieves. He was lapped down. He's done. Eric Richardson finished in fifth. Colton Gardner in sixth. DJ Flick in seventh. Brian McKinney in eighth. That is our race over. Congratulations to all our drivers here tonight. Now let's see if we can get our friends into the booth here tonight. We're going to see if we can get
All right.
Mark Vickers, Ian Miller, or
I'll hop in the
Hunter
Discord.
Hughes. Mark Vickers says he needs a beer. Let's see if we can get Hunter Hughes up in here. Hello, Hunter. I just see you're muted, but are you able to hear me? How's it going, my friend? Good to get you in here. Very, very, very unfortunate how that race unfolded right around that lap 30 mark or so. I think it was lap 27, actually. Talk to me about how the race was going before that point, your mentality before that point. What were you thinking? Obviously, you were challenging for a win pretty frequently. Talk to me kind of through how that race was going.
You know, I honestly was just, like, defending. I knew that there were some parts of the track that I was way faster than Mark, and then other parts where I was quite slower. The part that turn that actually ended up taking me out, which is that, like, double turn.
Yeah, the turn 6, yeah.
Yeah, I always got a bad entrance into that, the final turn before the long straight. And, like, almost every single lap. But, yeah. I want to bring up, the quote that I heard. I don't remember who said it, but, I heard a quote one time about like sim racing that the cars aren't real, but the racing is.
Absolutely.
And that was the perfect definition of that.
You guys were neck and neck for literally 27 laps. I thought the highlight of your race, obviously just the general, racecraft that you guys had was exceptional. But when you went in a lap before him, I knew that undercut was going to work. I saw it and I was like, if he doesn't get tires, this undercut works. And you didn't get tires, and I was like, oh, those things are going to be cooking hot, but just cool enough to give him really great grip on an outlap. He'll get the lead. And you came out, what, half a second in front of him? That was gorgeous. That was, because you were almost a second down when he went into the pits. So you got a serious advantage out of that undercut, and that was absolutely gorgeous. So I got to give you props on that. You had the best strategy call of the night, for sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunate that it obviously didn't result in, a win or unfortunately even a second place. That off that you had, as you said, you kind of overcooked it. I went back and watched exactly what happened. It looked like you were just trying to get on the throttle a little bit early. Were you just really trying to put the pressure on him, or what do you think was going through your head?
Yeah, I wanted to, because I knew that if I could get into the braking zone first, I could have a better shot exiting.
Yeah.
And where was I? I'm actually trying to go back and look at it right now.
It was lap 27, just to help you out.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw, like, it looked like you tried to lift off the brakes a little bit early. You weren't trail braking the way that you usually do through that corner. And I could hear you pumping just giving a couple blips of the gas, like you were going full Ayrton Senna mode. And I thought that was very interesting. I was like, wow, he's really pushing. I'd never seen you do that up until that point, that I at least noticed. And so it definitely felt like it was a little bit out of the ordinary, the way that you took that corner, which then the result of which being out of the ordinary makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell you were really just trying to give him your best and fight so hard. There were a couple moments where you guys almost came together, and one moment where you guys did come together right actually at that exact same corner. Was that just a little bit, were you going a little bit too slow through that corner and I don't think he was ready for it, or what do you think happened there?
I think what happened is at that point I got a little, I broke a little too early, and he was running his usual line. So then I ended up going a little wide, and then he took his normal line, and we got together. But it wasn't anything serious. It was just like a 0x, and
yeah, it was light. He lost a headlight glass, and that's it. Like it was nothing. So, and your rear bumper actually looked like it didn't even have any damage at all. So it really was nothing. But overall, man, a great race. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get either Ian or Mark. In fact, actually, I think I see Mark already in here. Is that you, Mark?
It is. You got me?
Oh, yes, I do got you. How you doing?
I'm great, buddy. How about yourself?
I am doing good. What a race, man. Back-to-backs.
Yeah, who would have thunked that, right?
After watching the race last week, I would have thunked that. I mean, last week was pretty dominant, but this week, you really had to work for it, and I honestly thought that it was a true coin toss-up between who was going to take it. I could tell that you were definitely faster on the straights, that Ferrari just has the straight line advantage. But the corners, going into turn, as soon as you got over that hill into turn 2, that was Mark Vickers, or that was Hunter Hughes, just like bread and butter. And he was right up on your butt by the time you guys got out of turn 5, every single time. In fact, I saw early on in the race, I saw you go off a little bit. Was that due to pressure, or was that just an honest mistake?
Just missing my break points, looking in the mirrors, just not really focusing straight ahead. It was a pretty sloppy race for sure, but yeah, it was fun.
It definitely looked like a lot of fun. I saw a lot of moments where you guys were, seriously side by side for quite some time. There was a moment actually where you guys got totally side by side. I want to say it was like around lap 12-ish or so. I think you had the better run coming out of turn 7. That second right-hander, it's very tight, into the back straight, and all the way down the straight, as well as through the double chicane, you guys were side by side. Were either of you trying to play chicken with each other, or did you just know, oh, we can both make this?
I mean, I was just holding my line. I was going to break at my usual my breaking point. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just a crapshoot.
It was pretty fun to watch that. Honestly, I think you performed phenomenally well, especially with all that pressure. And also, I do want to mention, Ian Miller was actually not that far off. The 20 seconds does not tell a proper story, because that's only a half a second a lap off, which means with a little bit of work, he'll be right up there with you guys. So going into next race, do you expect this fight that was between you two to get 3 or 4 cars wide? Or do you think it's still just going to be a 1-2 horse?
I hope so. The more the merrier.
Yes, I like that mindset. Well, speaking of the more the merrier, we have more races, and next week is a really fun one. Obviously, we're going to Watkins Glen. It's one of my personal favorite tracks. It's not quite next week. It's the week after. It's one of my personal favorite tracks in the entire world. I think it's exceptional, and the racing here, especially in GT3s, is amazing. Now, one thing I'm not 100% certain is whether or not we're running the bus stop layout or without the bus stop layout. But with the bus stop layout, this becomes, in my opinion, probably the best GT3 racing road course.
I completely agree.
It's another level of fun, and I expect to see some sends into the bus stop. So, can I count on you guys to have a little bit of sendy moments into the bus stop for me?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Heck yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight in the booth, and great racing from both of you. Congratulations on the win to Mark. That was amazing. Hunter, still a podium, and a phenomenal podium. You well deserved it.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you.
I'll talk to you later, guys. Oh, is that Ian in here?
Yeah.
What's up, man? How's it going? You were exactly what I was looking for. How you doing?
It's going all right.
That was a great race, man. Well done getting that P2 locked in. Now, I was mentioning to the two of them, the 20-second gap that you had between yourself and Mark, in my opinion, does not tell a fair story, because that's less than half a second per lap off of the pace.
Yeah, and especially when I was, since I spun out of the lead, that probably cost me just about that 15 seconds, 10, 15 seconds. I had a couple of fuel saver laps in there that seems like they didn't take, so
they were going
I might
hard.
have been on their pace here.
I think you kind of were. And, that being said, next week, it's a relatively similar track, in my opinion. Watkins Glen, it's a little bit easier than Road Atlanta, a few less blind corners. How much experience do you have at Watkins Glen?
It'll be my first time running this in iRacing. I've run it in other sims,
okay.
But I'll certainly put my time in and try to familiarize myself with the track.
Yeah, it's a great time, especially if we're running the bus stop layout, which I really hope we are. The level of commitment that you can put into that corner is unreal. You will not think it's doable. In fact, I hope that maybe sometime we'll get to do some practice sessions with you guys, because I love driving that track on GT3. It's probably my favorite track to drive on a GT3. I've gotten so, anal about it that I actually know the brake bias for every single corner in 3 different cars. I love that track. So I'm really excited for next week. Going into next week, what do you hope to change to fight for the win?
Just consistency. This is 2 weeks in a row where I crashed out of a podium position. Mm-hmm. So just put in more time, more practice. Hopefully make the mistakes in practice so I don't make them in the race. That sort of thing.
I like that. And obviously, given the fact that it's only a 45-minute race, it's definitely a little bit easier than those 2-3 hour races that you might have in those officials, like the Mission Pilot Challenge and stuff like that. So I hope that that consistency does come your way next week, and that we see a 3-horse battle for the win, if not even more. You never know.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. Well, hey, thanks for jumping in here, and I'm excited to see you in 2 weeks on May 10th for Watkins Glen.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night.
You too. Alrighty, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and head out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching tonight here at Wednesday Night Dash. It was an amazingly fun race, that's for sure. I was up and out of my seat many times watching those two battle at the top. And congratulations again to Mark Vickers on a back-to-back win here in Season 6. Next week, like I mentioned, we're going to one of my favorite tracks in the entire world. It's Watkins Glen. Such an amazing track. Not quite next week. Excuse me. I keep saying next week. I forget that next week we have an off week. So May 10th, in 2 weeks, is when we go there. And it's going to be a blast. Followed by that will be Laguna Seca, my second favorite track in the world. And then go to VIR, Virginia International Raceway. Another full commitment, blind corner craziness track. It's a be our second last race here in May, followed by the last race in May, Mid-Ohio, another crazy full commitment road course. Just these tracks that we have on this schedule are amazing. So make sure you tune in and watch as many of them as you possibly can, because you're not going to want to miss a single one. And again, thank you so much to everybody that's watched, that's had a good time. I can't wait to see you guys next week. You all be wonderful. Keep making the world a better place. My name is Eli, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.